Hey everyone, good morning. Coffee. My name is Karen. I am an astrologer. I'm an art therapist. I am a tarot reader. And today I want to talk about the marriage chart of Tom Brady and Gisele Bündchen, who have been all over the news. I'm not going to talk really about their personal charts. That's their business. But I do want to talk about what we can sort of see for ourselves, learn from how their marriage chart has been impacted by time, by what's happening, by movement, and maybe it'll be helpful to you. So let's bring up this PowerPoint I made. Like from start. Here we go. Okay, so I'm going to say this again. Everything has a birth chart. Whenever you, when someone is born, when someone starts a marriage, when you start a job somewhere, that's the beginning of a time period. So you can look at that chart and sort of extrapolate what you can expect. And in that same way, like I said, there's a marriage chart. There's many different ways of looking at a relationship. This is just one of them. And this is what's called an event chart. I'll come back to that at the end. So before we look at the chart, I want to look at these people very briefly, individually, to just sort of see who they are. So Tom has a sun at 11 Leo, moon in Aries, and his ascendant, also called rising sign, is Libra. So if you can see, he's Leo and Aries are fire, and Libra is air. Archetypally speaking, you could say that Tom is the king with the soul of the warrior, wearing the mask of the nice guy. And then Gisele, I highlighted her sun at 28 Cancer. We'll come back to that too at the end. So Gisele is a Cancer with a Scorpio moon, and her rising sign is Capricorn. Archetypally, she's the caretaker, the mother, with the soul of the psychologist, and she's wearing the mask of the strategist. This is their chart, and there is no time available, but weird coincidence. I used to live not far from where they get married back then in 2009. And I used to occasionally drive by and see people come out of the church when there was a wedding. And that day, same thing. And I was like, oh, there's a wedding. And then by the end of the day, there was in the news that they had gotten married. And I'm like, oh, wow, cool. I saw their wedding party. So from that memory, I believe it was around 11 in the morning, but this is not the correct time. And it would be helpful if I had the correct time, but we can totally talk about this without. So that's what we're going to do. Before we talk about their chart specifically, I want to talk about Saturn. So all the planets in your chart have, I would say, an archetypal brief lesson for you. Saturn is about structure, it's about tradition, it's about hierarchy, it's about commitments, it's about keeping your word, it's about making contracts, it's about doing what's best for the tribe or the group versus what's good for you, that sort of thing. And then I wrote down the 7-year itch. I think Marilyn Monroe made a movie about that. Basically, anything that is born every 7, 14, 21, 28 years gets an opportunity to revise, to look at all the things that I just mentioned. So in a marriage, when you get to 7 years, you sort of look at, is this still working for me? Is this the structure that I want to continue to live into? Am I keeping my commitments? What did I promise? You get to sort of reevaluate. And then sometimes it's not working and you leave. And then in other times, hopefully you get to speak to your partner and say, we need to make a change, and how can we, and then renegotiate and move on and continue your relationship. There's a great book out describing that by an astrologer named Erin Sullivan. And I forget the name, but I will look it up and put it in the show notes if you're interested in looking that up. Just make a note here. Okay. So this is now their chart. There's a whole lot I can say, but I'm trying to keep my videos shorter. So I'm going to start with just what I wrote down here. So the sun is the energy of the marriage itself. And a sun in Pisces, like they have, is really a beautiful thing to have. You actually, if you look at pictures from their wedding, they could barely keep their eyes off each other. We're so in love. And it's a beautiful, supportive, spiritual, kind, sensitive, just beautiful energy. And that sun has only one aspect in a chart, meaning it only has a direct relationship with one other celestial body, which is a little bit challenging, because if you have someone whose sun is not aspected, and Sarah's is an asteroid, so she sort of borderline counts. When someone's sun is not aspected, they really don't really clue into other people so much, what their motivations are, why they're doing certain things, and how the sun person's actions may impact the rest of the world. So they're a little bit off to themselves. And if you look at their relationship, they've showed you this picture. So there's Neptune, which is close, which is sort of illusion. So they showed you this picture of the perfect family, what they wanted you to see, and you didn't get what's sort of below the surface, which of course lots of people are doing. But they really sort of had this down. And the funny thing is, Pisces, which is a water sign, and I believe, if I can remember this correctly, they built a big old luxury property in Brentwood here, a very fancy neighborhood in Los Angeles, and they had a moat. So literally they had a moat around their castle, keeping other people out, and using Pisces, using water to do it. So side note, funny thing to how the universe rhymes or resonates in these instances. So that was the one thing. The other thing that's happening is that you have the planet Saturn that we talked earlier, structure, blah, 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 opposite in an antagonistic relationship with Uranus, because Uranus is all about revolution, freedom. I'm going to do what I want. Don't fence me in. So that tension was always there. And then here, the sun aspect that I did talk about, that I did mention, Ceres. So Ceres is, in mythology, she's a Roman goddess of harvest. She's a mother goddess. She is the nurturer. She is, in Greek mythology, she's Demeter, the mother of Persephone. So there's a whole thing about nurturing, mothering, being a mother, and this question of mothering, who caretakes, is opposing them a relationship as well, as the only thing that's sort of making an aspect to the relationship. So that is a huge issue for them, I think. And then the only other thing I want to mention is that Venus, again, the female archetype, is in a hard aspect to both Tom and Gisele's ascendant. So again, the feminine being challenged, and what's the place of the female, the feminine, in this relationship. So when you're born, or when this marriage was born, the planets obviously don't stop in the sky. They keep going, and then they keep making aspect, meaning keep activating, keep pushing things, keep bringing up energetic patterns to be looked at as time goes by. And for a while now, I believe Saturn went into Aquarius at the end of, should have looked that up. I want to say late 2020, early 2021, if I'm not mistaken. And all of Saturn, the taskmaster, are we looking at what we're doing? Are we doing it right? Went through, transited, touched all these celestial bodies. So bringing structure to the North Node. The North Node is, where are we going? What's the plan? What's the evolution? What are we growing into? Jupiter is the planet that makes everything bigger and better. So this would be a very good point, would be joy, would be excitement in the chart. And Saturn transiting is sort of this bucket of ice water, sort of like taking the fun out of what's happening. He transited Juno. Juno is, in mythology, she's also Hera, in Greek mythology, the wife of Sooth. So again, challenging the feminine, challenging the roles that we're playing and who we are in a relationship. Transiting, bringing structure to communication. That's probably when it started to get very, there's rumors, gossip about her having looked for divorce lawyers long before all of this became public. And this could be that she started talking to a Saturn person, a lawyer, someone who can advise her when this was happening, when it was transiting. Then it went for Mars. Now, Saturn is the hold tight, and Mars is the go, 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 fight, blah, blah. So that was a very tense aspect. And I think that's actually where that's what's active in their chart right now. Then what's coming up for them, Saturn is going to transit Chiron in their chart. Chiron is the wounded healer. And although Chiron doesn't much like Saturn either, Saturn brings structure to, okay, I've been really hurt by how this is going. I've really want to look at how we can take what we've learned and move forward. So I think there's a chance of them, if they can sort of put down their swords and actually start talking, there is a chance of them working through this. It's not going to be easy. I'm not going to be painting it all like happily ever after, but there's a moment, I think, that's coming where they can look at the other person and see how hurt they are and try and get back on the same page. And then finally, Saturn's going to transit Neptune. Neptune is both spirituality and sort of ecstatic religion and all this stuff, but it's also illusion, disillusion, all these things. So they've already burst our bubble about how happy they are. And this is sort of coming to terms themselves as a couple that not everything is how we wish it would be. Relationships are mostly learning opportunities and can be dirty business, and we just need to we need to stop having illusions about who the other person is, who we wish them to be, how we think this relationship should go. So lots of challenges coming in. Then the other thing that happened, this was also a transit. Asteroids, I'm not going to go into the whole thing about asteroids again. There's a part of, I talk about that, I think, in the Ketanji Brown Jackson video that I just did. But basically, asteroids are smaller celestial bodies, and they don't have a huge impact. They flavor what's already happening. However, Eros and Psyche, again, they're right here. And they are at 23 degrees Capricorn. So they have been transited half by the planet Pluto. And Pluto, I also talk about ad nauseum. Pluto is transformation. Pluto is opening the doors of your closet where you stuff in all the skeletons that you don't want to deal with, where you want to pretend it's all fine and it isn't. And in that closet for them was Eros and Psyche. The story of Eros and Psyche is that Psyche had to undertake several very dangerous and onerous tasks to prove her love and to please the goddess of love to let her have, quote, Eros. And I think Pluto going over this and transforming this caused her to go, you know what? F this. I'm done proving what a devoted wife and mother I am. I want something different. And then finally, so we said that Gisele's sun is at 28 degrees Cancer and transiting Pluto. Pluto's still in Capricorn. And he won't get off or away from her until the end of 2024. So I believe that she will not go back to even remotely what it was. If they want to keep their relationship, it needs to be completely reinvented. she needs to be able to feel that she is empowered to be who she is and to be in a relationship where she is an equal. And so even if she wanted to, I do believe they love each other. So even if she wanted to stay in for the sake of the relationship, we're going to try and make this work, she's not going to be able unless she gets to express this need for being in her power and being who she truly is. And then, so what does all have to do with us? And so the question becomes, how do we work with challenging aspects in our charts? Well, first of all, there's such a thing as electional astrology. There is astrologers that specialize in finding dates that will be beneficial for both the two people getting married and also the marriage itself. So you basically set yourself up by choice with the best, quote, toolbox that you can, and that would be helpful. Now, could they have chosen a different date? Probably, but every relationship, even the ones you pick a great date, they all have challenges, because again, the point of being in a relationship is to be a mirror of each other and to grow. It's also to have a great time and love that person, but truly a relationship is where we most being challenged to live our full potential rather than being jerks about our shortcomings. So they could have done that. And then the other thing is being aware of what's happening and communicating about it. So, and taking those informations seriously. So I'm sure they had many conversations about it. I just don't know if he realized how serious she was, or if he was willfully possibly looking the other way. So again, the awareness of it, the communication, probably some counseling if you can really address it without arguing about it. But that's what I would say is what you can do. So astrology will not help you fix your relationship, but astrology will help point at something and go, you know what, there's something coming up. You may want to get prepared for it. So hope this was helpful. I am going to make some more coffee and go on with my day. And I'll be later on doing a YouTube live where I'm reading tarot for people. If you want to be on that, you can check my channel. There's a live stream already set up. Talk to you later. Oh, wait, I keep forgetting this. Please subscribe to my channel and please like this video. For subscribing, I'm trying to get to 100 subscribers, and that way I get to customize my URL. So it'd be great if you could help me with that. Thank you. Take care.